technology impact on privacy. It's one of the most wonderful topics to talk about, actually, because technologies impact our lives so badly sometimes, so good in other times, and on the other hand, it impacts privacy. So that we need to regulate how it works now. And we will talk today about all this stuff. So here we go. I hope you will be able to see the presentation right now. Here is our topic: technology impact on privacy. How does technology impact our lives in frame of privacy? Do we feel safe? Can we control our privacy? Can we actually work with our rights in right manner? Can we get information about us, or do we lost information all around in all these networks and so on? Okay, so let's go. This is some slide about me. I'm a speaker, managing partner of Globalization Group and CPE. So thank you for joining. Okay, so the problem we want to talk today about is the lack of control on privacy rights by data subjects, and that's one of the problems that is caused by raising of technology nowadays. And the second point is possible stop of innovating because of too regulated landscape. From my one point of view, in case we will not regulate the privacy in the right manner, data subjects will lose control over the data, because companies will exploit all the data in the way they want. And on the other hand, if the regulation will be too strict, in this case, companies may stop innovating. We may stop the progress, actually, by wanting to defend the privacy subjects. So that is the main case, the main actually goal for today, to understand which regulation is the best, does it develop in the right way, and how should it form the privacy protection in the future. One more thing that we want to talk about today is that technology impacts on privacy. That's true, because today we have an increased volume information, an increased speed of working with information. We have a thing that you may transfer your data to another piece of our Earth in a second. But on the other hand, privacy impacts on technology as well, because as we have data protection rights, data privacy rights, and the rights of data subjects, we shift the technologies the way we need, actually. For example, different privacy protective technologies and so on. It is really important, and we need to say about it as well. So, little agenda for today. We will not go into details for several hours. I hope we will finish in 30 minutes, and let's do it. Okay, so first part we will discuss, it will be about how personal data actually is defined today because of impact of technologies. Then we will talk about some concepts of globalization of regulation because of impact of technologies, and some new ways data subjects can work with the data, can get the data, and so on. And also we will talk about some concepts and roles. And second part will be about technologies that most impact on privacy. For example, it will be sales tech, ad tech technologies, maybe cloud computing, and we will talk a bit about privacy tech as a new domain. You are also welcome to state what you think about impact of technologies to privacy, and it will be great actually to listen to your views. Maybe you can start in the chat, where are you from, what do you do, and why are you here, and what are your thoughts about our topic today. Okay, so privacy in the modern world. I really love this picture because it shows how the profile of some data subject can be actually developed by the company. For example, at the first glance, the company knows that it is a female. Then the company finds out that she went to shopping in the internet shop and bought some kind of dress. And because of parameters of that dress, the company may think that this girl or woman likes going for sport. But on the other hand, in 6 months, I don't know, she in the same e-shop, she tries to buy the wear of different size, and it means she likes to eat a lot of pizza. That's a joke, of course, and such analytic and prediction analytic is too how to say, is to dump a bit. But on the other hand, in a way it works in real projects, is that companies try to investigate what we do, try to find out how we live, and then, for example, study it and use it sometimes against us, maybe even discriminating us, maybe putting us into a bubble. On the other hand, we may receive more customized messages, more customized marketing, and it will help us to improve our customer experience. It depends. So the main idea is that companies may use the data the way they can, actually, according to the technologies that they have and the regulations that the company has to follow. So let's talk about it. First of all, this slide is about personal data definition. As we can see here, because of rise of technologies in the GDPR, despite like it was in Directive 95/46 EC, we have a special point on online identifiers, and meaning that regulator puts a great focus on this online identifiers, such IP, such cookies moments, such as, I don't know, some actions made from some computer and so on. And it means that today, in today's modern life, when we have a shift of paradigm, when we actually live online, we have a lot of digital experiences, and we don't even care about. And the regulator especially says that these identifiers has to be put into attention, and in case company uses them, it has to be personal data. So we have to see the development of these points because of rise of technology, of different technologies, actually, like big data, cloud computing, and so on. And for now, I have a question. Usually I address to students in case I'm on the lecture. It's like that. In the computer mobile game, the nickname of your character in such online game, is it a personal data or not? Is actually the moment that you play for elf or for orc a personal data of you? It's really interesting, and well, your character on the first glance is not connected with you, but on the other hand, your doings, the way you log into game, the way you, like, I don't know, communicate with other characters, creates a portrait of you that can be used, and it's really interesting. Okay, next point is of course, for now it's like obvious that GDPR is works not only in EU, but it works all around the world in case you actually try to sell your services or goods into EU, or you monitor the behavior of the data subjects. But the point is that GDPR is not the one that works in this kind of way. For example, LGPD works in the same way, and in case you want to enter Brazilian market, you have to follow the respective rules. So that it's also some kind of impact of technology rising on privacy rights, that regulators have to protect their citizens, their data subjects in their territory, not only from the companies that may use their personal data in a bad way that are located in the EU, but companies all around the world, because the access and the use of personal data in a global scale, it may take less than a second. Okay, this is one of my favorite memes I made by myself, and I'm very proud about it. The idea that regulator in GDPR puts special attention, same he does in different guidances, on the way the information has to be communicated and provided to the data subject, because all maybe of you know this definition or concept of click fatigue or dark patterns of privacy. So in case you enter the website, or data subject enters the website and tries, for example, to cancel the subscription from some SaaS services, and in order to do that, he has to click, I don't know, 8 times, and buttons exchange their places. And this is done in order to the user to become tired, and at some point he will like click just on anything just to stop all this situation, and in this case he may not actually unsubscribe as he was willing. In a privacy, there are cases like in the same points. The most easy to remember to think about is about the prescribed tickets with when you don't have to click that you agree on something, but it's prohibited. And on the other way, it may be some texts that are like to sly, and you actually don't understand what's happening. And in case the company use such dark patterns of privacy, yes, it may receive more actually data. It may use it. It may work with it. But on the other hand, it may be not legal to do that because, for example, a regulator also puts a special attention on consent. That it has to be freely given, and the user has to understand what is happening. And in case if after all these things will be done, some DPA will make some kind of examination about what really happened from the perspective of user digital experience, and will find out that the company used some dark privacy patterns. In this case, the lawful basis on which the company stands on may be argued, and the company may receive a fine. So that it's really important, and regulator puts special attention on the way of communication of information to data subject. As you know, special attention to communication with children, I don't know, special attention to communicate on the language in case it has some specific requirements, and so on. Okay. Also, the answer to the rise of technologies, namely the technologies of search engines, we can find out that it's some kind of this right to be forgotten. And the most interesting point about this right is that in case you will, as a data subject, you will ask the data controller to forget actually you and don't call you anymore. In this case, he or it shall must to go to other controllers or processors to whom he shares the data, and actually also ask them to delete this data. It's very important because the data subject in a modern world, because of impact of technology, may not actually even understand with whom his data was shared. Because, as you know, in privacy policies, there are a lot of points like we share data with such contractors, but usually companies state only types of contractors, and to the end of the day you don't understand what's happening, and you have to see it and to write the email to the company, tell me who also has my data, then receive an answer in 30 days, then write to that companies, and it's too long. So this right to be forgotten is some kind of answer. Also, one of the interesting points is portability right. In this case, we have a right that is not actually developed or used right now in a full amount, as I see it. Because, for example, if you try to change some operator of some services, I don't know, banking services, some fintech services, or maybe video streaming services, you have a right as a data subject to ask your old controller actually to transfer all your data about your habits or what do you like, preferences regarding some movies and so on, to the new controller. In a way, machine could read it. But because of lack of one standard of transmitting of such data and use of different technologies, use of different marketing systems and so on, this right doesn't work very well right now. But on the other hand, I think there are all bases to it to develop in something really great in next few years. One of the most interesting points that we have to work with as a privacy specialist in 2022, and I think in 2023, is automated decision making and profiling. If we talk about it from the perspective of how it was in 60s, in 80s, of course, you will say to me that because of increasement of technologies, increasement of the way we work with data, rise of algorithms and so on, rise of machines, if you can say it, In this case, this right to not to be a subject of automated decision making, or at least to argue it, is very important, because algorithms can be discriminative. And some, I don't know, when you look at something at your mobile phone in, I don't know, in some social network, and you looked at it, I don't know, for 7 seconds, and next thing you see there is like basing on how long did you look at different pictures before, and that puts you into some kind of bubble. Sometimes you cannot go out even. Or for example, the company knows so many information about you that you actually cannot even buy some other goods or services, because you don't have access to the respective offers, because you have such customized advertising that uh, doesn't give you an ability to go out of this bubble. And it's very important and sad sometimes. But we have to forget to remember that algorithms are made by humans, at least for now, at least some of them. And we have and humans are the employees of the company, and the company is also ruled by humans. So the basic decision to make the algorithms that will be discriminative or use bias, in this case, is made by humans. So we have to regulate it, and the regulator gives a special right to the data subject not to be a subject of solely automated decision making, decision made based on profiling, so that you have some kind of protection, at least you have to have. Also, from the first point, we talk about data subject rights. In this case, we say that data subject has some right to object or to argue as a result of automated decision making. On the other hand, when the company actually implements new technology, it has to deal with risks, because new technology in personal data processing means risks. And there is a special point that was a special definition concept that was also actually put into regulation. It's a data protection impact assessment that has to be made in certain points. And in this case, you, as a company, you have to make it. You have to state the special points in this data. We have to go here in this data protection impact assessment. And actually, you have to assess the risks, assess the measures you can do to actually limit those risks or put them away. And only then, in case it really works, in case you can ensure that all the rights of data subjects will be protected and the risk is minimal or there is no risk, you can proceed with implementing this new technology. It's really important. And one of the other points that is important is actually that data protection officer, in case it is designated in the company, has to be involved in this data protection impact assessment. And as you know, data protection officer is some kind of agent of DPA sometimes on the company, because he is not a corporate player in full understanding of this concept. He has to be impartial, and his main idea is that he has to protect the people's rights. He is a people attorney in terms of privacy. But on the other hand, he has to control what is happening in the company. But he can advise, not decide the way. It's really interesting position, and we as Legality Group are DPO for some companies, and it's a really great experience to be able to, on the one hand, to help the company to innovate and implement new technologies, and on the other way, to protect the people's rights, because when there are millions of data subjects, you feel yourself important. It's good. Okay. One more thing that has to be put into attention is such concept as data protection by default and data protection by design. This point is also very important when we talk about implementing technologies, implementing privacy or data analytics models in new programs, products that are developed. For example, there is a development of new startup which uses data as an oil, as they say, and uses personal data as well. And the idea of this concept is that from the very beginning, you have to work with privacy data in a manner that is in compliance with GDPR. In case you will have some kind of data startup or startup that is based on using data, and you will go to investors, first thing they will ask you, what do you have with GDPR? What regarding GDPR? For example, some face recognition startup and so on. So that the idea that you have to implement privacy features, but actually not features, but privacy measures, organizational measures, technical measures from the very beginning is very important. And actually, involvement of DPO in or privacy officer in a company in the development of new products in a corporation is also very important, because in case you will not do it at the end of the development before the release, you may find out that you cannot actually start, because if you will get a fine, and that's not acceptable, of course. And so that this principle is some kind also of answer to the challenges that bring to us by technologies, and it's very important. Okay. And some kind of the second part, actually, technologies that impact mostly on personal data protection. Of course, one of them is social media targeting, because when you know the mechanics maybe. So when you surf the internet, by some kind of magic in a few seconds, when you then go to your social media, you see the advertisements based on your latest search. For example, you wanted to buy a toaster, and then in a few seconds you go to Facebook and you see a toaster advertisement from a company. You entered a site intro and put it into the basket. Then you see an advertisement from the company you actually bought a toaster in, but they offer you to buy some bread. Then you see an advertisement from a company that sells toasters, but you never were on their website. It became possible because of technologies like Facebook Pixel and so on, and remarketing technologies. And well, it's good maybe because that you have some customized advertisements, but in many times websites that track your surfing in the internet don't care much about your privacy. So that it's important actually to regulate it in the right way. And we have a great guidance from EDPB about social media targeting and how to do it in the right way, in order to, on the one hand, use all the marketing possibilities to compare fairly, and on the other hand, to be in compliance with protecting data subject rights regulations. Next point is cloud services. Of course, it's the whole other topic to talk about. But if you talk about GDPR points, of course, it depends on where your servers are located, and data assessments of transferring data to the other countries are really important. On the other hand, when we talk about cloud services, you have to determine the status of the company because of service it actually provides, because there are different services. When we talk about cloud services, it can be just storage, it can be some kind of automated analysis, and in case the data storage also uses this data for own purposes, it can be co-controller or even controller itself. But you have to be really attentive at this point. There are also points like sales tech companies, because in order to find new perspectives, new leads, companies usually try to get some contacts in LinkedIn, in other network, by some software, by some cold calls. And in this case, the receivers of such notifications are not happy sometimes. Same thing is with recruiting points, like when you get some cold information based on information you actually provide in a open internet. But on the other hand, you were not providing it with that aim. But someone can argue that point, like, you told me that you are a software developer and work here. Okay, I want to offer you some new way to work. Why not? I have a right. It's my legitimate interest, and so on. And one more niche that is really extraordinary developing nowadays is privacy tech. A lot of companies to help you with privacy governance, with automation of building and maintaining their privacy programs and so on. And in this case, there is some kind of trick, as I see it, because a lot of companies of this niche offer you some kind of GDPR compliance in a box, but it's not true, at least in most cases, because GDPR compliance means that you actually have to implement the documents you have, the measures you have into the real processes and into the real life of your company. Your employees have to know what's happening. Your contractors have to know what's happening and follow the procedures. And you have to know what to do in case of data breach. You have to have a transparent manner of communication with the data subjects and so on. So in 2018, for example, when GDPR just started, everybody was a bit scared because there was no actual interaction with data subjects like how it will work and so on. And in case of big companies, after GDPR adoption and putting it into force, there were a lot of data subject requests. And when you receive such, you actually understand, because when you just made GDPR compliance documents and implemented it, okay, you sit in the car and hold it, but you just sit. And when you receive requests, it's like you start to write actually, because you understand that all your policies begin to work. Different conjunctions, different interactions between your policies, between people, as an answer to the subject requests. And it was really interesting, and it actually continues now. So when you buy some kind of privacy tech service, you have to understand what actual need, what actual pain it helps you with. But on the other hand, in order to be GDPR compliant, is about processes and the way you actually process your data, not about the software use. And I think it's all for today. I'm happy for you to be here, and happy for me to be here. If you watch this episode live, it's great. If you watch this episode after the live, actually, you can also write some comments or make likes. It will be really great. In case you have any questions about today's topic, or you want to find out more about this topic, or you want to get GDPR compliant, you can just write us on email a@legalitygroup.com. Also follow us on social media. I thank you very much for being with me today. Have a nice day and goodbye.